Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Audit and Administration Committee meeting for June 24th, 2024. Could we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Legislator Elner, the lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We can have roll call.
Legislator Elner.
Here.
Legislator Goulman.
Present.
Chairman Castellano.
Present. Okay, moving on to item number 3, correspondence to the county auditor. 3A is our sales tax report. As you might be aware, every June we get a third payment that we're still expecting, so our numbers aren't exactly complete for the month, but we should be receiving the third payment on June 27th, and hopefully that will take us where we need to be. Questions or comments? Okay. Moving on to 3B is the OTB report. Nothing to report, but of course we've met our budgeted goal for this year, and take whatever we can get. Questions or comments? 3C is the board-in revenue report from the Sheriff's Department. Picked up a little bit in the month of May, and hopefully we'll have a better idea at the halfway point next month. Questions or comments? 3D is the transfer revenue report, again just an FYI. Questions, comments? 3E is the 2024 contingency sub-contingency report, again just an FYI, no proposed deductions. Okay. Moving on to item number 4 is correspondence from the Commissioner of Finance. Thank you, Mr. Lewis, for joining us tonight.
Hello. How are you guys doing?
4A is the overtime temporary report. Again, just an FYI, if anybody has any questions, as we're nearing the halfway point in 2024. Okay. Moving on to 4B is the approval of the budgetary amendment for the Health Department. The Adolescent Tobacco Use Prevention Act Grant Award to purchase some computer equipment. This is state aid in the amount of $2,920, which we will purchase computer equipment. In the amount of $1,700, office software accessories in the amount of $200, and some office supplies for $1,020, for a total of that $2,920 in state aid for this grant. Pretty straightforward. Any questions or comments from committee members? Any legislators or public? You good? I'll make a motion to move it to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. 4C is the approval of budgetary amendment for DSS, Suicide Prevention and Crisis Services. This is in the amount of $300,000 in state aid that's coming to Putnam County. Michael, would you like to add anything to this, or?
Sure. We also have fiscal manager Warner here as well, but on April 22nd, 2024, Office of Mental Health revised their fourth time their state aid allocation, and included in this fourth amendment was $300,000 towards the suicide prevention crisis services, which is on attachment A on that second page in the middle, which is highlighted for $300,000.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll go towards that particular program.
Okay. Any questions or comments from committee members, legislators, general public? All right. We are thankful for the $300,000 coming to Putnam County. I'll make a motion to move it to the full. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
4D is the approval of budgetary amendment for risk manager, Sheriff's Department reimbursement from farmers casualty, all state insurance companies. This is also reviewed in protective services. This is incoming insurance money that we are putting in the correct category. Zero fiscal impact. The amount of the recoveries was $26,307.72. pretty straightforward. Any questions or comments from committee members, legislators? Okay. I will make a motion to move it to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? 4E is the approval of budgetary amendment for probation, stop DWI, and the high visibility engagement campaign. This isn't just for federal aid allocated, also viewed in protective services. This is, again, incoming money to Putnam County in the amount of $7,500, zero fiscal impact. And again, we're putting it in the correct categories. Questions or comments from any committee members, legislators? Okay, I'll make a motion to move this to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
4F is the approval of a budgetary amendment for the Sheriff's Department, Bureau of Criminal Investigation, use of federally seized assets forfeiture funds. This was also reviewed in protective services earlier. This is in the amount of $74,712.33. Revenue, zero fiscal impact for us. Purchasing some computer equipment, some software accessories. And Michael, anything I should add to this?
Just the fact that there's a trust account, they take the money out, and this is what they want to purchase.
Understood. Any questions or comments from committee members? Legislators? Okay. I'll make a motion to move it to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, moving on to 4G. Is the approval of a budgetary amendment for the Sheriff's Department Bureau of Criminal Investigations, use of federally seized assets forfeiture funds. Also reviewed in protective services earlier this month. This is in the amount of $100,379.07. Again, we're moving some money around for the Sheriff's Department, putting it in the correct category, zero fiscal impact to Putnam County.
There's additional.
Oh, there is additional, yes indeed. I'll make a motion to add the additional. This is responses from the additional information from the Sheriff's Department in regards to this thing, as was asked by Legislator Nasserino in the previous meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we have the additional, and I will state it again for 4H, which covers, the additional covers both 4G and 4H. We'll make that a motion again later. So we have the $100,379.07 in front of us now for the Sheriff's Department. And we have, we can put in the correct categories for equipment, maintenance, software, accessories, more computer equipment, education and training, supplies, materials, licensing, machine maintenance, and postage. $100,379.07. Any questions or comments from committee members? Yes, sir, Mr. Goldman.
Has the question that Legislator Nasserino had, have they been answered adequately?
There's a memo in our additional that addressed to the outstanding questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'll make a motion to move it to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
4H is the approval of a budgetary amendment for the Sheriff's Department, Narcotics Division, use of federally seized assets and forfeiture funds, also viewed protective services. Again, I'll make the motion to include the additional as it was combined into the one response from the Sheriff's Department. So do I have a second to approve the additional?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, same issues in front of us. Again, we're putting the money in the correct allocation. Zero fiscal impact. Just want to make sure I have the right numbers here. 4H, and this is in the amount of $16,291 to use for audiovisual equipment and licensing in total. Zero fiscal impact. Questions or comments from committee members? Legislators? Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Goldman.
Same question I had before. Is this adequate, the response that we got today? Legislator
Well,
Nasarino?
we received this prior to coming in.
I know, but I'm asking you if it's adequate.
Oh,
for your-
yes,
Okay.
yes it is, thank you.
Yes.
I
Legislator
also
Crowley?
have the public safety, we asked for the procedure, so Diane was kind enough to get it for us today, if anybody else wants a copy of it, on all of the, how long they have to keep the retention for each of those approvals. Diane got that today at
Thank you.
3 or 4 o'clock, so thank you, Diane.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, again, this is 4H. I will make a motion to move this to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, 4I is the approval of budgetary amendment for the Sheriff's Department, the Sheriff's Response Team call-outs. This is in the amount of $15,709 to cover overtime for the Sheriff's Department. Zero fiscal impact. Any questions or comments from committee members? Legislators? Legislator Crowley?
Still owe the other 2 departments money on this, and we keep taking. And I find it to be really bothersome that nobody else seems to find a problem with it.
Legislator Young?
Yeah, I gotta ask, who do we owe money to?
Kent and Carmel. 2 departments.
Do we have a bill from Kent and Carmel that we haven't paid?
Again, from our understanding that the ERT was disbanded, via the county attorney's letter. We paid everything through December 31st as
Well,
requested.
then I would just ask, if we owe money, please bring us a bill.
Legislator Elmer?
Commissioner Lewis, this is where I think we're in the gray area. One view is the ERT was disbanded. Another view, which Kent and Carmel have, is that the sheriff removed themselves and is no longer part of the ERT, but the ERT continues to exist because they've been continually operating. And that's the question that's before us. We have to figure that out.
Just,
Legislator Young?
I don't think the ERT can continue without the county. The sheriff is the only one that has jurisdiction through every town in the county. So as I understand it, the ERT cannot exist with just 2 towns. And I would tell you that this agency was disbanded. Okay?
Or never properly
Well, it
created.
was never properly created, so it really, yeah, I mean, that's really what it boils down to.
Okay, 1 second. Legislator Crowley?
Thank you. Through the chair. So I will absolutely provide that to you and to the entire legislature.
That would be good.
I also agree with what Legislator Elner said, was that ERT was something that the Sheriff's Department took themselves out of. For the past several years, they being the county, filed for this SHIP grant. And if you look at the actual grant every single year, which was done the year before, so we just did this year's, for next year, it was for the way it was written, was for the 3 agencies together. So my question is to both risk management and to legal, do we have to amend anything with the state because it has changed, the scope of the grant has changed? And if we've also written it for ERT with three different municipalities involved in it, do we then owe, because they are still together, do we then owe the equipment back to the state? Because in the past, we wrote it last year for this year. Is there that question of, kind of like the boat situation, when we gave the boats back, there was no longer? So do we owe equipment back? Do we owe money back? Are we at risk for any sort of lawsuit because of the way the grant was written or through the other municipalities?
I would suggest that the state would notify us if we were in peril of losing money or being clawed back. And without any documentation or paperwork, without a bill, how to come up every month and say we owe, and I don't know where or how we owe this money.
Legislator Nasarino?
At the Protective Services meeting, Sheriff McConville made it perfectly clear exactly what Mike Lewis has just reiterated, that there is no money owed, that the disbandment of the ERT team took place, and all the bills were settled. It should also be noteworthy to know that the grant is in the name of the County of Putnam Sheriff's Department. It is not commingled with Carmel and Kent. So from where I sit, I don't believe that they are entitled to anything, specifically speaking, as what was just said here as well, but they're not named in the grant. The money wasn't issued to them. The money was issued under the direction of the County of Putnam Sheriff's Department.
Thank you. Legislator Elmer, Amanda?
I'm not sure who Legislator Crowley is advocating for, the county or the towns.
Being in a unique position where my legislative district has both Carl and Kent information, I can't attest to the veracity or accuracy of it, but I do know what's being set forth. And that's why I'm just saying we just got to find out, clear it up, and take action appropriately. The other thing is Captain Shepard, who was very detailed and very specific, is that the disbandment took place around December 10th. And the sheriff said any and all bills up to January 1st should be paid. The other unclear gray area is the way the grant, and I have not researched this, I'm just the messenger in this one. The way the grant was written is that the grant for 2024 covers 2023. So I just want to bring this to everyone's attention so we can get to the bottom of it and do whatever's appropriate.
Understood. Legislator Brown?
And also too, I do agree that the grant was written under the scope of the county because that's the only way this grant can be written. The county has to do it. The municipalities cannot do it themselves. So as a single standing municipality or police, you know, the 35% they get on this cannot be done by anyone other than the county. So the 35% has all the budget lines, and that's what I think we should look at and bring it to the insurance, and the state wouldn't be made aware of it because they don't know that anything's been changed or amended because nobody's told them. They wrote the grant differently. It would change for next year because we're writing this year's for next year for SRT. So it changes the whole scope of the grant. They had been writing it for congregations, for the municipalities. They had been writing it like that happened the other day. There are different lines for overtime for the other municipalities. You have to look at the breakdown of the grants. That's what I'm trying to explain. The way the grant was written, it's very specific and gives you the outline that the others are to be paid because of the way it was written. If that's not the case, then I believe it should be amended and we should make ourselves clear of owing any money or responsibility if we're buying things and then do we have to give them back? That's a grant we wrote a certain way, and if we're not following through with it, then we need to make the state aware of that.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I would think the Commissioner of Finance and the Sheriff and Captain Shepley would be well aware of the perils and the ability to notify the state on things that should or shouldn't be included. I would find it very, I would be very surprised if that was not the case. So it seems like the only one who knows what's going on is Legislator Crowley, and everybody else appears to be incompetent.
Okay. Rob, I don't know if I can ask you this, but what, or maybe I should go back to Michael there. Michael, how much money is left in this account that the sheriff can draw from at this moment?
Off the top of my head, I don't.
Okay, so at this point, what
I
we're
can
talking
find
about
out that.
is we do have a bill for the sheriff's department for $15,709.
Which needs to be paid.
Which we're gonna pay right now. That being said, obviously, there's more discussion that needs to be made with this grant application. Legislator Crowley has some good questions that she would like to get answers from, but I don't think that's what's in front of us right now.
No.
So all we have right now is the sheriff's department to get some overtime paid in the amount of $15,709. So I'm gonna make this motion to move it to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 4J. 4J is the approval of a budgetary amendment for DPW 2023 countywide payment maintenance and rehabilitation program. We're going to use some money from interest and earnings that we have in the amount of $325,000 to complete this capital project. So we're not bonding, which is a great thing for Putnam County. We don't have to borrow money to do it. So it's pretty straightforward, but Michael, do you want to add anything to
No,
this?
that's pretty much what it is.
Okay.
We're de-obligating the serial bond using our interest earnings as of today
Yep.
to fund this project. It's at Peaceable Hill Road, I believe.
Good. Again, this is, great budgeting on part of Putnam County for years, and we have a bunch of interest and earnings that we have, and that we took advantage of with the higher interest rates that we have. And we can cover this cost without actually bonding it, which is a great thing for Putnam. Open it up to any discussion from legislators. Okay, I'll make a motion to move it to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 5 is the approval of fund transfer for the district attorney's office to fund and hire temporary employees. This was also reviewed in personnel. I'd like to make a motion to move this back to personnel based on the fact that we haven't received what we needed to receive from the state. Oops, am I getting ahead of myself?
Yeah.
That's number 6 you're referring to.
I didn't write that on 5. Okay. Apologize. Item number 5 is the approval of fund transfer for the district attorney's office, funds to hire temporary employees, also reviewed in personnel. This is the DA's office has an employee that's out for whatever reason, medical reason. They're looking for $10,000 to cover a temporary line in the absence of the person that is not able to work at this present time. Pretty straightforward. We're just moving the money into a temporary line. Zero fiscal impact, as they can move the money from personnel line that they had not used, in the amount of $10,000. Questions or comments from any committee members, legislators? Sorry, this is a resolution that's got to go to full.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Pretty straightforward. I will make a motion to move it to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Looking forward.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 6, this is the approval for the Sheriff's Department for a part-time position that we had discussed earlier as well. I'm going to table it back to personnel because we're still waiting for the state to provide some information to us. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 7 is an FYI. This is the guardrail property damage table. Again, this is just a report given to us, FYI, if anybody has any questions or comments. Okay. Moving on to item number 8, other business. I'd like to make a motion for other business. I'm going to add this Child Advocacy Center grant that has come in front of us to be added to the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. That being said, it looks like we have a grant in front of us for $49,999. Michael, you have anything to add to this one?
Just seeing it for the first time.
It's federal aid.
Yep.
Amount of $49,999.
They couldn't have given us no one extra.
They could. Feel free to pitch it in if any of you fit. Oops, sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
so I just wanted to add that this is a supplemental grant to the current OCFS grant that we have. That's around $400,000. So it was an additional, just shy of $50,000 given to us for additional supplies in the CAC.
Great, thank you. Zero fiscal impact. This is a federal aid coming to Putnam County. Questions or comments from any of the legislators? I'll make a motion to move it to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We can make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
You, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.